Hello boys and girls, and welcome to my player ratings for Arsenal's victory last night in the Carabao Cup against Leicester 2-0. And I suppose that scoreline kind of paints the picture that it was a relatively easy evening. Now in the second half I would probably say that's true. In the first half I felt we were a little bit shaky at times. We actually had to rely on Leno making some very good interceptions and saves to actually keep us in the game. We also did have chances ourselves. Reiss Nelson in particular had a couple of gilt-edged chances. He had a very, very good effort from distance as well, which clipped the top of the bar. And overall, we deserved to win the game. It was pretty evident where this competition lies in terms of its priority for both sets of teams. Arsenal made a lot of changes, although there was a lot of players there that you probably thought wouldn't play. Leicester as well, they made a lot of changes, and they still had a pretty much experienced first, kind of team out there. Some of the players, they're fighting for their place to get back in the starting 11, but a lot of them will actually be a major part of Brendan Rodgers' plans for the season. So when you look at it on the balance, it's actually a very good victory. Now, of course, we don't know who we are playing at the moment in the next round, because Lincoln have to take on Liverpool tonight. I know that everybody's thinking it's a foregone conclusion and that Liverpool are going to go through to the next round. But it's a cup game and you never ever know what happens. Also, what's key is what starting lineup Jurgen Klopp is going to go with. He could effectively play his under-10s Liverpool's team because he's not really taken this competition seriously in the past. I remember last season they actually played Arsenal at Anfield, and I think Jurgen Klopp done everything he could to lose that game, and they still beat us. And then ultimately they actually did get beaten in the next round against Aston Villa, and they were beaten 5-0. Lincoln, they will go for it. They will give it every inch that they have to try and progress to the next round. But again, it's going to be key in terms of the personnel. Now Liverpool, they've also got the advantage that Arsenal did, of that their next Premier League game is not until Monday, which of course is Liverpool-Arsenal. So they've got a very good gap in terms of resting players. I don't think that they're going to go with players like Mane and Salah and Firmino. I think that they're going to give some of the players that, need minutes. Maybe Thiago will get actually some minutes in this game because he has only had 45 minutes so far, so they may see it as a good opportunity to get some more minutes in his legs before that game against Arsenal. But yeah, it's just going to be very interesting. If they do go through, then we're going to play Liverpool at Anfield twice in the space of a week. And I feel that both teams on both sets of matches, if we do play Liverpool, will be very different. You'll have the Premier League match, which will go with the strongest teams and the strongest players, and it will mean the most. And then you'll have the Carabao Cup match, where I feel that a lot of the main players will be rested. There will be some players that need minutes used again, and then you will end up with the results as and when. And for me, if I had to make a choice, it'd be the Premier League. If you give me the result right now and say you can only win one, I'll take the Premier League all day long, because that would be a massive, massive victory if we can beat Liverpool in the Premier League. I just want us to actually turn up and perform at Anfield for once and not get humiliated like we normally do. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Now, player ratings. It's going to be a few marks in there that might raise a few eyebrows. I'm going to be pretty honest as I can with it. And this is what I am going to go with. So starting off in goal, Leno, and I will give him a 7 out of 10. And I felt that he made some very, very good interceptions and saves in the first half. There was one in particular where Leicester got through. And yeah, it was a brilliant save. It was reactionary, and that's exactly what Leno's good at. I felt that he was commanding when certain crosses were put in the box. I felt he had a decent game, and I will give him a 7. Next up, we have Rob Holding, and I'm going to give Rob a 5 out of 10 based on that performance. I felt that he had a few shaky moments in there. I feel that chance I was referring to with Leno, it was Holding that was caught flat-footed when the Leicester player went, on the blind side of him. And yeah, I'm going to give him the 5 out of 10 because I don't think it was that great a performance, if I'm being honest with you. Next up, we have David Luiz, and I think he was, in contention to be man of the match, to be honest with you. I think he was commanding. I think he was experienced. I think that his performance was exactly what you would expect from a senior player. He was captaining the team for the night. He was also creating a lot with his long direct passing, which was splitting lines at certain times and getting us on the front foot at key moments. So I think it was a decent performance, and I'm giving David Luiz an 8 out of 10. Like I was saying, I think that was a really good performance in there. So it bodes well that he's back to fitness, and we're going to need another big performance from him in the Liverpool game on Monday, that's for sure. Next up, we have Kolasinac, and all I can say about this performance is that it was better than the one he put in against West Ham, but that was not very difficult, was it? It was much improved. It was a lot better. I felt that his interceptions were better. Final delivery and the way that he attacks doesn't really get it for me. I feel that he's got 2 actions as a player, and it's either backwards or just to the man that's in front of him. There's no real drive or energy there, but he was playing in those centre-back roles. But yeah, I'll give him a 6 out of 10 for his performance. It was a lot better than the West Ham one, that's for sure. Next up, we have Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and he was playing more on his preferred side, which was the right-hand side, and I felt he looked very uncomfortable, to be quite honest with you. He was unable to, find Pepe and link up with him, and that right-hand side was very, very void of any ideas in the first half, especially. And I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10 for that performance. It wasn't great, in my opinion. Next up, we have Mohamed El Neni, and I felt that he was a decent player out there last night. He could be a very good squad player for the team, in my opinion. I think that he does exactly what it says on the tin, and he had a decent enough performance, and I'll give El Neni a 7. Next up, we have Joe Willock, and got better in the second half, but overall, he really, really struggled to impose himself on the game, to be quite honest with you. And I'm going to give him a 5 out of 10. Next up, we have Bukayo Saka. And for me, along with David Luiz, he was one of our man of the matches. I felt that he was playing more of a free role. He was allowed to go inside and try to be creative. And he really, really tried. And I felt that, his drive and his willingness for somebody that's so young is so infectious, and why can't other people take that and use that as a lead? Because you've got a kid here that's doing it on a regular basis, and it was a good performance. Should have had a penalty in the first half as well. Let's not forget that. How on earth that was not a penalty? But I'm giving an 8 out of 10 as well. Same as David Luiz. I think it's a toss of a coin who you want to have as your man of the match. In the attacking sense, I'm going to go with Nicola Pepe first of all. And very, very poor in the first half. And that right-hand side was just getting no service. Everything was coming down the left-hand side. He woke up more in the second half. He helped get the first goal. And I felt his runs were a lot better and he was getting more involved. And Mikel Arteta was really getting into him. And it was one of those. Better second half, but not a great first. I'm going to go straight down the middle. That's a 5 out of 10 for me. Eddie Nketiah was the main striker, and I think that he was very starved of service, shall we say. I felt that he struggled to impose himself against Wes Morgan. Got the goal, but overall not the greatest of performances. There was one incident that I didn't like with Eddie, and I think it's very petulant, and it was when we scored our first goal. Pepe very clearly tried to cut it back to Eddie in the first moment. It then rebounded back to Pepe. He had a shot, hit the post, hit the Leicester player, went in, and we scored a goal. And the first thing that Eddie did was throw his arms up in the air, petulantly, like a spoilt little brat, because he didn't get a goal. And what I'll say in that moment is that I understand players might want to score goals, and I have no problem with players wanting to score goals, but we scored. Your first reaction should be you're happy for the team because they've scored a goal. But your reaction to me was just childish. It's like you didn't get what you want. And this is the second incident in the last couple of weeks where Eddie's been involved in something with a teammate. And if you look closely, when he did that, Pepe actually told him to shush. So, again, something to keep an eye on for me. But Eddie Nketiah gets a 5 for his performance. Last of the players was Reiss Nelson, and should have had a goal in the first half. I felt that he was direct, trying to be creative. He lacks match sharpness. That was very evident because some of his touches were off. But he showed good endeavour in the game. He really tried. He really, tried to be proactive and make things happen. And I don't think it was a bad performance, to be quite honest with you. And I'm going to give him a 7 for his performance last night. In terms of the substitutes, Willian was on there the longest. I'll give him a 6 out of 10. 20 minutes he played. Danny Ceballos, Hector Bellerin weren't really on there long enough to, affect the game. So I'll just give them their straight 5 out of 10 in the middle, not based on performance, just weren't on there long enough. Mikel Arteta, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10, to be honest, because went with a relatively strong side, given the fact that it was the Carabao Cup. Was bold to risk the likes of Leno for me. Aubameyang got a good night off as well, wasn't even on the bench. Didn't have to risk the likes of Alexandre Lacazette. Saliba not coming on at all. Really want to start seeing him, and that was a bit of a disappointment. But Mikel Arteta, that's his job. He's the manager, and he picked a side that went away to a difficult venue and was able to pick up the victory. And wins breed confidence, and that's the main important thing, and we're continuing to win, and that is a good sign. 3 wins out of 3 so far, but the big test comes on Monday night against Liverpool, as I said. So Mikel Arteta will get an 8. So there we go, that is it for my player ratings. As usual, let me know in the comment section what you think. Do you agree with those ratings, or would you change anything up? If so, what would you change? If you're new around here, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you smash a like on this video, and I will see you lot soon. I'm out of here.